So something happened yesterday in yesterday's lesson. Mordecai, he put on sackcloth, a very rough material, rough fabric that makes your skin itchy, and he put ash on his head as a sign of deep sorrow, being very, very sad. And because of that, he couldn't come to where Esther was. Esther is the queen now. He couldn't meet her. She couldn't go out. He couldn't come in. And Esther sent somebody to ask him what happened, and this is what he said. Haman, remember guy? Haman, the one who
Yeah.
was, yeah, the king promoted him. He became somebody great, and everybody was supposed to bow down in front of him. But Mordecai, he didn't bow down because being a Jew, the same thing happened to Daniel and his three friends, and they refused to bow down to that statue, the golden statue of the king Nebuchadnezzar. They refused to bow down to it too. Same thing happened to Mordecai. He refused to bow down to this guy called Haman. And because of that, Haman really started hating this Mordecai guy. He thought that he's disrespectful to him. I'll start from here. Haman's dislike for Mordecai is not merely pride and politics, but from generations of hatred toward your people. He cast lots for the luckiest day to kill them all. So it's not only Mordecai that he wants to kill, but everybody, every Jew, every person from the Israel. He went before Xerxes, that's King Xerxes, and explained that your people, Jewish people, do not keep the king's laws, that it would be best to destroy them. He offered a fortune for the royal treasury. So Haman also is rich, and he said, I'm going to give you money, King Xerxes. I'll give you a lot of money, so just play along, okay? And the king is like, ooh, money, sure, whatever you want to do, do it. The king gave Haman his signet ring. Giving a ring gives him the authority, the power to make laws and to, authorize it, to give power to whatever he wants to do. The signet ring, it represents the power of the king. He said, you can do whatever the king would do. And he's given him a permission to decree that the Jewish people be destroyed. So he has chosen the day when he threw those lots. He's chosen a day, and this is what he said. And any who help may plunder their belongings. They said, on this day, we will gather together all the people and fight against Jews. We'll kill them wherever they live, whoever, they live all around the country. But everybody on that day, let's come together and kill all those people. If you have any neighbors who are Jewish people, let's come and kill them. And any who help may plunder their belongings. Whatever those Jewish people own, you can take it for yourself. This is not just Persia, but all the provinces Xerxes ruled. And because that kingdom was pretty big, around the whole kingdom, wherever there are Jews, this decree, this law, this announcement was for everybody, not just in the city, not in the capital city, but the whole country. It's nothing short of annihilation of the followers of your one God. Annihilation means complete destruction. So there would be no more Jewish people left. That's what his plan is. The Jews mourn and lament, means they're very sad. They think this is the end of Jewish people. Your cousin among them. And Mordecai, that's why Mordecai was so sad. That's why he put on sackcloth, and that's why he put ash on his head. While King Xerxes and Haman now sit down and drink together, while Mordecai, he's lamenting, he's crying and praying, but these two are just having fun and drinking together. This cannot be true, says Esther. Many do not believe, Persians and Jews alike, but all this belief vanishes upon seeing the decree. Your cousin sent this. What is it that he sent? The piece of paper. She looks at it, and yes, she sees that it really is so. It's written in the letter, like the announcements, like the newspaper. Back then, they didn't have newspapers, but there it is, something like a newspaper. Yes, it is true, says Esther. Yes, your cousin asked me to give you a request. He wants you to go to the king and beg the king to rescind the decree, to change his mind. That's what Mordecai wants Esther to do, because only Esther can approach the king. Other people cannot really approach him. He's kind of unapproachable, being the king, being above everybody else. That's the point for today. That's the lesson for today. Revenge on a nation. Let's read that part. And I'm going to ask. We have a few hands raised. Angel, please, together with Penny D, can you read the first part? Revenge on a
Okay.
nation.
Esther, revenge on a nation. Haman's dislike for Mordecai turned into a deep hatred, not only for Mordecai but for all the Jewish still living in Babylon. It all started when Haman was made the chief official and Mordecai refused to bow to him. Haman went to the king and said, "There is a certain group of people scattered all over your kingdom. These people have customs that are not like us and they don't obey our laws. It would be best for you to give an order to kill every Jew in the empire if you do this. I will pay you lots of silver for you to use as your wish." The king was convinced. He took off the ring used for signing official laws and gave it to Haman, saying, "The people are yours. Do whatever you like to them."
His name is Haman or Haman. In some languages, it's pronounced that way. Haman or Haman, either pronunciation is fine. Why do certain groups of people dislike each other? Like in Sri Lanka, it's obvious. We have Tamil people and Sinhalese people, and there is a lot of dislike. Not everybody, but between them, a lot of people kind of, Sinhalese dislike Tamils and Tamils dislike Sinhalese. You've heard about that, right? Even during the Civil War, the LTTE, and everything. Also, there are Muslims people, and sometimes people do not like Muslims, right? Especially a few years ago during the 2019, the terrorist attacks, everybody was really against Muslims. Okay, let's read. Why do certain groups of people dislike each other? We have a few volunteers to read. There's like Abhinesh, Nathan, and Joanna. Which one of you wants to read? There are three. Not sure. Abhinesh, will you read for us today? Abhinesh? Yes?
It's
Okay, sir.
me.
Abhinesh will read. It's okay. Let's Abhinesh read. He doesn't read to us often.
How will you feel if a hockey player from a team that was known for cheating asked to borrow your hockey stick? Will you be glad to help him out? To be honest, we are guilty of judging the whole group by actions of some individuals within that group. When someone goes to a certain school, we may find ourselves acting differently towards that person because we don't like that school. Jesus doesn't treat people differently because of the group they belong to. Every person is special to him. He healed a leper who was treated as an outcast. He spoke to Samaritan woman who was born into a hated tribe. He made friends with Matthew, who was known as dishonest tax collector. People sometimes judge others unfairly by thinking things that are not true. That is called prejudice, which means judging before. Be careful that you don't get caught in the prejudice
trap. Yeah, prejudice. We studied prejudice. Those of you who studied moral education with me in grade 5, you know about prejudice, that judging before you actually get to know people. And this is the truth. For example, this is the whole people group. Okay, this is the people group. It's like a circle, and one person from that people group that you know of, and let's say this is you. This is one person from the whole people group, and you get to know them and you spend time with them, and it turns out that that person is not a very nice person. Okay, It turns out that this person is kind of a bad person. And then what do you think? You think that because of one person like that, this whole people group, the whole people group, all people that belong to that people group are all bad. See how it doesn't make sense? Let's say you are, let's say, who? You all go to All Nations International School. So you are in All Nations International School. And this person is from another school. What school? Choose one school. Let's say Lyceum, because Lyceum is pretty famous. This person is from Lyceum and you get to know them and they turn out to be not very nice, not a very good friend, a bad friend. And you say, now you think that all students who study in Lyceum are bad. And that's going to be really unfair. You cannot judge the whole people group based on one person that you know. Well, that's what's happening here, right? Jesus, though, he didn't do that. When everybody, for example, leper is a person with leprosy. Leprosy is a skin disease, and those people are supposed to stay away from everybody. They were supposed to be isolated so the disease does not spread to others. Jesus healed him, he approached him, he touched him, and you were never supposed to touch lepers. He spoke to a Samaritan woman, and you know about Samaritans because we studied that in the previous book. Samaritans were half Jewish people and half foreigners, and everybody, Jewish people, they hated them. They wouldn't talk to them. They wouldn't eat with them. They wouldn't, do anything with them. And Jesus spoke to her. That's not what Jewish people did. He made friends with Matthew. Matthew was a tax collector. Tax collector was a Jewish person who collected money from other Jewish people to give to Roman Empire. And obviously everybody hated him because he was like a traitor. He would collect money from his people to give to Roman Empire, to the enemy, those who conquered them, those who control them. And Jesus made friends with Matthew, and Matthew became one of his disciples. And that's an example for us to follow. Do not let prejudice blind you. Prejudice is judging before you get to know somebody. You look at somebody and based on their looks, for example, their hair is messy, and say, oh, that must be a very dirty, disgusting, bad friend. I do not want to be friends with them. That's prejudice. You didn't even talk to them. You don't even know their name. Maybe they had a fun day and they got a really, a really fun day, and their hair is messy now. Anyway, that's prejudice. Let's read the verse for today. Ready, go. Do not judge.
Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Luke 6, verse 37.
Not be condemned. Luke
Yeah,
6:30.
this word is condemn. Condemn. Do not judge. Do not condemn. Let me stop sharing. Yeah. Anybody would like to say something about today's lesson? About prejudice? Anyone? Anyone? No comments? No? Let me stop the recording then.